Now, I want you to understand something. Let's not belittle this generation, because this generation left Egypt with faith. They start out on the journey talking about the miracles of God and the manifestation of all kinds of great movements of God, Red Seas parting, manna from heaven, all kinds of stuff. And so this wasn't something that they heard about. It wasn't something that they wrote stories about. They lived it, they saw it, and they got it. They got with these people who had started on a journey, and then they watched them move with God, go through the Red Sea, go through battles, have the favor of God, and then they watch them at the culminating point when they are at the culminating point of the promises of God. They weren't waiting for the promises of God. They refused to accept them because they didn't understand that every promise of God comes with problems. I don't know. I'm looking at this. It ain't nothing but problems. No, it has problems in it. Yeah. I was going to preach a message several weeks ago, and I thought that there's a problem with my promise. Most of us make a mistake with that phrase, and we say there's a problem with my promise. But if you change the emphasis, there's a problem with, alongside my promise. That God is not trying to move me to a promise that is not accompanied by change and challenge. It's not accompanied by criticism. It's not accompanied by, I'm making sense, pressure. My problem has pain in it. My problem has pressure in it. My problem has criticism in it. My problems has all that stuff. Am I making sense? And my problem is, when I see that stuff, I immediately think that God can't be in it, when it's actually God that led me to it. Amen. So what does it look like to be a prosperous person, walking in the will of God, entering into God's promised land? Because I may have it wrong. Because I may be looking at certain things and pushing back when I really need to be pressing into. So can I share with you just a little while? So now I'm gonna give you these. I'm gonna line them up, because I understand that it's Sunday afternoon. I understand that some of you are ready to go. So I'm gonna give them to you just in a real linear. First thing we want to talk about a personal attributes. Look at your name, say personal attributes. Number one attribute that you got to understand about prosperous people is this. Prosperous people have this attribute, and they all begin with C's, just to help you, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what I'm talking about. Amen. Number one is this. Look at your name, say compliance. Now, Deuteronomy 8:1 says this: every commandment which I command you today, you must be careful to observe. Every commandment which I command you today, listen, you must. If you got a problem with this first, we're on number one. This message is not for you. Every commandment which I command you today, you must be careful to observe. Now, be careful to observe, must be careful to observe, must be careful to observe is a very interesting word in Hebrew that we're familiar with. It's shamar. Genesis 2:15, when it says, I placed Adam in the garden to tend and to keep. Tend is ebed, keep is shamar. It literally means to guard, to watch over, to stand post, to make sure that you do, to keep careful observance of. Am I making sense? Listen, I'm loving it already. I'm loving it already. See, that means this, that if you have a problem with compliance, you're always going to have a problem with God. And if you have a problem with compliance, you are always going to short circuit your success. Sometimes, listen, victory is just about doing the right things the right way at the right time. Victory is about doing the right things the right way at the right time. I'm making sense. If you start in your 20s and you say, listen, I'm going to now set forth a process by which a portion of my money is taken from me every check, and it's going to be automatically withdrawn. I'm not going to see it. It's going to go away, and it's going to go toward a savings, and it's going to go toward my retirement. It doesn't matter whether I'm making $20,000 or $200,000. This percentage of my income is coming out every check I get, and I'm just going to learn how to deal without it and everything else. If you do that over and over and over again, you after a while you forget about it. After a while you won't remember it. But then if you look back some 20, some 30 years, you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, my God. Compliance. Somebody said compliance. It says, be careful to observe, listen, that you may live and multiply. So obedience is the basis of kingdom living. Obedience is the basis of kingdom living. The Torah, the law, was the basis of Judaism. And you couldn't have a workaround. Compliance, just doing what you were told to do. I was driving the other day. I'm going to help you understand how hard obedience is. I was driving the other day, and I wasn't particularly in a rush. I wasn't late for anything. I was driving. I pulled up to an intersection, and on the intersection, it said in white blinking lights, it said, no right on red. I'm at the intersection. I'm not in a rush. I don't have any reason by which that's driving me to move. But I pull up, and there's nobody in front of me. There's nobody in front of me. I don't have a car. I have no pressure. I have no time pressure. I don't have anything happening. It's just me and a light that's flashing. No right on red. And I wanted to turn right. And I sat there, and I struggled, because I was like, I looked left to see if there was somebody coming, because I needed a reason to be compliant. Listen, I'm not talking about a sign. I'm talking about flashing white lights that said no right on red. Am I making sense? But the sin nature in me, just because it said no right on red, I sat there straining, and then you know how you kind of ease on the gas? Listen, I said, don't do it, Moody. Don't do it, Moody. And I had to talk to myself like I was two. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Listen, that means that they studied this intersection. Experts studied this intersection, and they designed this intersection, and they thought it was necessary to put a blinking, lighted, white sign with just flashing. Do not turn right on red. I didn't do it. But somebody said, hallelujah. But see, the hardest time, the most difficult time that there is to be obedient is when no one's watching. So sometimes you say, so you just want me to be on time for no reason. For no reason. Be on time for no reason. Turn it in on the date that is due, before it's due, for no reason. I don't get no pride. I don't get no. Just turn it in because it's due. Because I said so. Am I making sense? It makes sense. Every commandment that I command you today, you must be careful to observe. Proverbs 16 and 20 says this: whoever gives heed to instruction prospers. Proverbs 16 and 20, whoever gives heed to instruction prospers, and blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. Whoever gives heed to instruction prospers. So that means that when I decide and say to myself, I will not comply, what I am saying intuitively, what I'm saying subconsciously is, I want to fail. Because I don't trust God. Compliance. And notice, we're on number 1. We've gone through one verse. No. It gets better. Proverbs 19 and 16. He who obeys instructions guards his life. But he who is contemptuous of his ways will die. See, one of the things I love about life, I'm learning, is that it's not as complicated as you believe. Compliance. You pull up to the light, it says no right on red. Somebody thought about this for you. Somebody designed this, and the designer of this said, for your safety and your best interest and the interest of others, do not now do what you want to do. And because I know you, I'm going to put a camera and I'm going to put a big white flashing light that literally says in all caps, no right on red. Don't do it. How many of us have pulled up to the intersection of our life and had God look at you and in big flashing lights say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And you look back, you said, man, had I not made that decision, and I knew when I was making that decision, God, I was not confused, I was not duped. I just decided I'm going to do it my way. And I'm still paying for that lesson. We have the unmitigated God when the police pull you over, and you're like, what you doing stopping me? It's like, there was no right. I'm red. Well, wasn't nobody coming. It didn't say no right on red if nobody's coming. This means you got to learn, you got to understand, kingdom people got to understand that compliance is the basic. So listen, if I can't get number 1 right, y'all like, yeah. And listen, and the saints are telling me move on. And these are faithful saints. Number 2, okay, number 2. All right, let's go. Y'all want to move on? I'm going to give you what you asked for. Number 2, it says this: every commandment which I command you today, be careful to observe, right? That you may live and multiply, which means if I don't observe it, I'm saying that I don't want to live and I don't want to. I'm gonna say, see, y'all can't even say it. So if I say I'm refusing number one, what I'm saying is I don't want to, and I don't want to. No, I got this side with me. This side is still rolling their eyes. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to read the Bible. Why? Compliance. It says this. So it says this. And go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your forefathers. Now, it says this, verse 2. And you shall remember that the Lord your God led you all the way these 40 years. Second point, second characteristic of a prosperous person is coaching. God says, I led you this whole way. For 40 years, I've been coaching you. For 40 years, I've been working with you, and I've been mentoring you, and I've been showing you. He said this, I led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble and test you. Listen, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep the commandments or not. Wait a minute. Step 2 goes back to step 1. I was coaching you to see if you can comply. So that means God says, listen, I let you watch them not listen to me. And I let you watch the consequences of not listening to me. So that you could see that you probably should listen to me. I watch you. I let you see it. I let you watch it. I let you observe it. I let you take notes. I let you videotape it so you could see. So you don't have to say, well, I wonder what happens if you do this. He says, so I was like, let me check out and see how, let me see what you made of. He says, so I humbled you. Coaching. See, coaching is a process by which you try to help a person get to the next level, but part of it is the thing that you got to do. The first step in coaching is to make them relinquish their position. That means when God puts people in your life to coach you, the first thing they're going to challenge is where you are. So what made you do that? So what was the logic behind that decision? Well, I looked at this, I looked at that, and it just made sense to me. Well, you see the outcome, right? Are you winning? Well, no, I'm not winning. So why we keep doing that? He says, to humble and test you, know what's in your heart. He says, well, you keep the commandments now. So I humbled you. I brought you down low. He says, I allowed you to hunger. How is God, Jehovah Jireh, our provider, allowing you to hunger? Now, I want you to understand this. He did not say, because this is what you hear in your brain, he starved you. See, notice how your brain plays tricks on you? You're like, how would God just starve people? He didn't say I starved you. He said I allowed you. I allowed you to get hungry, right? But then the next verse is, and I fed you. So that means a good coach sometimes be like, yeah, I gotta let you get out there, and I gotta let you hang out there for a minute. Because when I let you hang out there for a minute, then you're going to look at me and say, okay, now I'm hungry for whatever you're going to tell me. Because this ain't working. But if I talk to you before you're hungry, you're going to argue, I'm good. So he says, I allowed you to hunger, and I fed you with manna, which you did not know. He says, you didn't even know what I was feeding you. So sometimes coaching is occurring while you're not even knowing it. Sometimes coaching is occurring when they say, well, what did you do? Well, I didn't do nothing. Well, get out of my office and go do something. And you're like, that's cruel. What do you mean, go do something? If I knew what to do, I wouldn't be sitting in your office. Well, go make a decision. Look at what's happening in front of you. Look at what's happening around you. So you tried, what did you try? I tried A. Did it work? No. I tried B. Did it work? No. And I tried C. Did it work? No. Well, then clearly, those are not the solutions. Well, what do I got to do? Go discover D. Because you don't even know enough to discover D. Your alphabet consists of 3 letters. Your solution base is just this, or this. But you got to find out there are other solutions.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you like this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow The Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.